Welcome back to Generator. When I was first starting in portraiture, there were all these names of successful business owners in the photography world that I made note of. Sue Bryce, Jerry Guionis, Joel Grimes, and on and on and on. And one of the people that was on my radar for years was Elena Blair. Now, Elena is a family photographer, a podcaster, a business coach. She lives in Seattle, and the thing that struck me most about her was how connected her work felt, meaning she seemed to capture emotion and connection between family members that went beyond the typical portrait. Since I don't photograph families myself, it was kind of foreign to me, but her work still spoke to me, and she stayed firmly on that list of people to watch and hopefully someday meet. Well, fast forward, and while at the Portrait Masters several years ago, Nikki Klosser introduced me to Elena at the pool party, and I realized that my intuition was right. She walks the talk in every facet of life, and as we've grown as friends over the years, I realized how fortunate I am to have connected with her. So this year, while I was out at WPPI, I made it a point to sneak into her marketing seminar and just watch the crowd. Elena commands presence in the most disarmingly and beautifully authentic way. She holds nothing back and is relentlessly honest about building a business and a lifestyle that's purposefully designed. It's hard work, but the payoff is immense, and she's got the stories and students to prove it. Whether it's her family portrait business, her mastermind, or how she harmonizes work and life, Elena epitomizes what a bit of focus, discipline, self-awareness, and community can do for you. It's magical. In this episode, we cover a lot of ground, from understanding business metrics and AI and SEO, and the importance of knowing what it is you want out of life so that you can design your business to support it. I never have enough time with my guests, and this conversation's no different. But over the next hour, I want you to just sit back and listen to Elena and feel how powerfully she inspires you to live your dreams. It was truly a pleasure having her on Generator. And so now, without making you wait any longer, let's get on with the show. It was really nice to see you on stage when I was in Las Vegas. It filled me with a couple of things. One, it gave me just kind of a renewed sense of how brilliant you are. And two, it's just awesome to see cool people succeeding. And I know you've been on a bunch of stages, and I know you do this all the time, but it still kind of gives you that little thrill to know that a friend is up there just kind of growing her business.
It's very sweet of you. I feel like I can't even believe you popped in. It still makes me extremely nervous to get up on a stage like that. I don't know if I will ever not feel really nervous about it. So thank you for saying that.
Yeah. Why does it make you nervous?
I don't know. They say like, if it's making you nervous or if it makes you feel something, then you're doing the right thing. But I think that I've been going to conferences since 2012, speaking at conferences since 2016, and you always hear, the few bad comments about somebody's talk, like, oh, I didn't learn anything at that talk, or I didn't feel inspired, or they weren't very good on stage. So I feel like I put a lot of pressure on myself to emotionally connect with the people in the crowd. I want them to feel like they can see themselves in me, but I also want them to walk away with something they can actually try. I don't want it to just be inspiration. And so I just put a lot of pressure on myself for that. So
I downloaded that PDF that you're giving out, the kind of like the marketing PDF. And it's so full of good information, just like good foundational information. And what was funny was I was talking to Renee Robin yesterday, and I had asked her, what's the one thing that you would have done 15 years ago if you knew then what you know now? And she said, start my email list, like build my email list. And I know that's like your big thing. Do you find that people know they need an email list, but they still suck at it anyway?
Actually, the weird thing about email lists, what I would say about email lists when it comes to our photography businesses. So like someone like me and someone like you has a multifaceted business, right? I have an education platform and I have a photography business. Yeah. And when you take to the internet, take to podcasts, Google, whatever, YouTube, and you start learning about email lists, the advice is very complicated because they're speaking to digital marketers, like people who are selling courses, digital products, whatever. They're using all of these terms like lead magnets and all of these legalities, and it's this really complicated thing. And I will admit that in my education side of my business, when I am marketing to thousands of people, lots of people, it is complicated. But when we're talking about an email list for your photography business, it's all it means is having a legal way to email your clients at a like that. That's it. And there, you don't need a lead magnet. You don't need any of this complicated stuff. And so what ends up happening is that people don't do it because they think that it's this really complicated thing, that they're going to need all this software and they're going to need tags and segments, and there's all of these things that they don't need. So yes, it is the most important asset in my business, and anyone who learns how to use it will say the same thing. And you have a direct line of communication to people who are interested in what your offer is. So for years, I was booking my calendar out, for an entire year in advance with an email list that had like 250 people on it. It was just past clients. It wasn't like I went out and found all these leads with all these like ways to trick them in. It was just me giving clients, people who I've worked with, first dibs on my calendar. And I've grown it organically since. It's still not very big, my actual email list for clients. And that's what I like to teach to photographers. It's just having that direct line of communication to people that want to work with you. It's really that simple. And it is, yes, the most valuable marketing tool.
We often think, our email list is really small. I've got 400 or 500 people on mine, not big, not small. And if I walked into a room where all 400 or 500 people were in the room, I'd be blown away that many people were interested in what I had to say. Yet I always feel like, well, it's not tens of thousands of people, therefore it's negligible, right? And I think that's the trap that a lot of folks fall into, is they get trapped by the vanity numbers. And I know you talk about vanity numbers quite a bit.
Yeah.
And it's those sorts of things that I think are the most detrimental to those of us that are trying to build a business and kind of be content marketers, even though that's not our real job, but we're trying to learn the terms and do all the things. And I love your approach to coaching because you give such practical, down-to-earth insight to how people should do these things. As you've developed this over the years, what seems to be the common theme that everybody starts with? Is it fear? Is it that they don't know what they don't know? What do you see as kind of like one of the biggest barriers for people in growing their business?
That's such a good question. Oh my gosh, I could go on and on about this. So I had a mastermind meeting today with my current group, and we were talking about taking up space. We were talking about, it was a mindset meeting today.
Yeah.
And I said, one of the things that you hear high achievers talk about a lot is mindset. And it's annoying when you're new because you're like, you can't possibly just tell me that I can think my way through this. And there's going to be hard work involved. I don't believe in spiritual bypass. I'm not saying you can sit on your couch and wish something to happen and it's going to happen. But I do think that one of the things that's missing for a lot of people is the confidence that this is going to work. And then because of that, they lack focus. And so what ends up starting to happen is something doesn't work the first time, and their limiting, little voice in their brain that is their limiting belief is like, see, you're not good enough. This isn't working. And so instead of doubling down on that and making it, trying harder with that one thing or refining it, then they try something else. They try something else. So they're ping-ponging all over the place. And so their brand is lacking clarity. And then it just does cycle from there. So my students, I would say, that have the most success, I've taken people from making $10,000 to $100,000 within 12 months. Yes, they're able to implement strategy. Yes, they're very talented photographers, but they also believe in themselves. They have the mindset piece. They're willing to look at what's going on inside and clear that up so that they can show up in a way that is going to command the kind of business that they want. Because you are a content creator. Unfortunately, that's what but the good news for photographers is that's our job. We create content. We take pictures of people. This is something that we have at the ready to share. But a lot of people are afraid to share it, or they're not able to do it authentically. And so it's just a vicious cycle. So I would say the mindset piece is actually one of the biggest factors that a lot of people completely skip.
So the human connection part, I know you do really, really well. You let people in, you're vulnerable, you talk about all the successes and failures. Have you always done that, or is that something that you developed over time?
It's a really good question. One of the things that is surprising to people, I think, when I say it, is that I'm actually really private. So even though I am vulnerable and do share a lot of life, I'm actually extremely private. So that's been something that I've really had to learn how to navigate. And I think if somebody met me, they wouldn't. I'm a pretty outgoing person. You maybe wouldn't realize that, but it's the truth. There's a lot about our life that I don't share. I do have a deep desire to connect to people. I always say that I am not a photographer because I care about cameras or gear or lights or any technicalities, which is probably why it took me 10 years to get Canon to sponsor me, because I'm just like, don't talk about the gear.
Yeah.
I'm a photographer because I am obsessed with people. I'm obsessed with connecting with people. And so as a marketer, and this is one of the cornerstones of the strategy that I teach, I simply create content that connects deeply with the people that I want to work with. That's it. It's that simple. I actually, one time Facebook, I thought I was being punked. They asked me to come speak to their engineers about how I was beating the algorithm because I wasn't paying for ads and I had such high engagement. And I was like, this must be a lie. But I had a friend who worked at Facebook who confirmed that it wasn't. So it was really cool. I got to go in and talk to them. And they wanted me to give them, these little hacks or whatever that I was doing, these engineers that were working at Facebook. And I'm like, no, I just actually create engaging content. It's not really it's not that exciting. There's no tricks or any beating of any algorithm that I've got going on here. I'm just creating that connection with people. And I think that is something that you understand. There's something that I understand. It's something that any successful photographer understands, is that when you are screaming to everybody on the internet, however you decide to market yourself, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, social media, search engine of any kind, SEO, if you're just screaming at the internet and you're like, I do all the things. I'm a person with photographer and I can photograph your dog and your real estate and your this and that, and you don't have this connection to who you're trying to work with, it's hard. It's really hard to be successful. It's hard to market yourself and you will burn out. But when you create a business that's based in that connection, that human connection to the people you actually want to work with, marketing's easy. You're just talking to them. That's it. You're sharing about your business. But it's easier said than done. It takes a little bit of soul searching and work to get to that place. Definitely doesn't happen overnight, but I would say connection is the foundation of a good marketing strategy.
Well, you mentioned clarity earlier. Did you ever read Building a Story Brand by Donald Miller?
I know it. Yeah.
Yeah, you get the concept of it. It's essentially the hero's journey, where, long story short, it's not about you. It's about your client. Speak plainly, clearly, solve a problem.
Cute language won't convert for SEO.
Ever.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't think a lot of people get that. They want to press the easy button and copy someone, but then it's not really them.
And what's happening right now too, I am the biggest fan of AI, by the way, so I'm not.
Yeah, me too.
Not dissing who are using it, but also you can tell when ChatGPT wrote somebody's entire, caption. You can't do that either. It's the same thing as copying somebody or using a copywriter, right? You have to make it your own. And when I get copied, I mean, I know they're kind of switching gears here, but just because of what you just said, I'm going to piggyback on it. I never worry because I'm like, it won't work for them.
Yeah.
And I always tell my students that too. I'm like, I'm not here to make you a version of me. You should become the best version of you. It won't work for you. What I'm doing, I have, a skeleton strategy, a foundational strategy, but you then have to apply it to your lifestyle, business, your ideal client, all of that, and make it work for you.
When I talk to coaches that have some sense of absolutism, where they're saying, well, this is the method that you have to follow and you have to do it this way. There is no one method. I've been in this game way too long, right? Okay. There is no one method that works for anybody. You find the pieces that work for you. You connect with the coaches and the mentors that, give you some sort of spark, and you roll with it. But they're all just suggestions. You've got to define your own path for your marketing, right? You can't copy anybody.
I say that all the time. There's more than one way to do this. And any coach or mentor that says, that makes a guarantee, You can't make a guarantee. We don't know what you're going to do with what we teach you. That would be a lie if I guaranteed anything. I mean, I have success stories, that are amazing, and lots of them, hundreds of them. But then the other thing too is that speaking in absolutes. I just was listening to an old podcast episode that I recorded on my own podcast where I was talking about how to choose a mentor. And I say, if somebody speaks in absolutes, that's a red flag.
Yeah.
Like there is not just one way to do it. There's not just one way to price yourself, not just one way to market yourself. Like, I love when my students prove me wrong. When they're like, you said this wouldn't work, but I did it and look, it worked. I'm like, amazing. That's so cool. Like, I'm so proud of you. Amazing. You just came up with a whole new concept that I didn't even know about. So.
And it's awesome. So let's get back to AI for a second. So I know you use it for a lot. What are you finding most beneficial these days? And where are you looking to go with AI over the next year or two? How are you incorporating it into what you do?
How am I not incorporating it?
I know. Big question, right?
So I think that I have a nephew who's 24, and I swear he is the reason that I adopted it earlier, because he was he was on the ground floor, just going for it, using it for things that I wouldn't even imagine. So I've been way more creative with how I've used it, and I owe it all to him. But I feel like it's like another employee for me now. And my team, we're a small team. There's 3 of us. We all use it. And we all, if one of them isn't using it, I will remind them to use it. So we use it as an analyst to analyze funnels and things that we're doing to give us, suggestions on how to make things better. We use it to write copy, not usually from scratch though. So our best way to use it for copy is to take a big long form piece that I wrote or something that I wrote in another platform and have it repurpose it. It's brilliant at doing that. When you have it write it from scratch, it's pretty obvious still, I feel like. Although probably some people are prompting it better than us. It's such a skill, by the way. It's such a skill. I use it for personal things like grocery lists and meal planning, just FYI, to take that mental load off. Just now, my daughter's friend put this weird thing in our coffee maker, and I used it for step by step on how to fix it. I could go on and on. It is an integral part of our day.
I use it for absolutely everything in similar ways that you do. I'll either use it as the beginning, the front end of copy creation or blog posts, and then I tweak with my taste, or vice versa. I use it for something that I've written and I make something more concise. Prompt engineering, that's what I want to see people teaching. You know what I mean? How to truly prompt, not just give me an email about this or rewrite this.
Yeah.
There are a lot of things that you can do to teach these models to really work for you as an assistant. Have you developed any secret sauce in terms of prompting your GPT? Do you say, hey, you're going to be a marketing director?
And we have the paid version too, which I didn't used to think that was important, but for the organization part of it, it really does. So we have different projects. So the different elements of our business, it's this is the photography part, this is education, this is our coaching side or whatever. Podcast, right? We just took the podcast from being private to public, and we used AI to generate all of the show notes and the description of each thing. And it also suggested what opt-in we should be linking it to, because it knows our opt-ins. Our AI is very smart because we've been using it. But yes. So we prompt each time we go in. My daughter is teasing me. I'm nice to my AI, just in case.
You say please and thank you.
I am so nice to my AI. I say, today we're working on Instagram content. You are an Instagram marketing expert. My focus for this week is converting to this. We're focusing on newborn to convert to this opt-in. These are the calls to action we want to use. This is the ManyChat. If you guys don't know what ManyChat is on here, it's an automated DM thing for Instagram, which is mind blowing. I can't believe Instagram's still letting us use it, to be honest. So we upload all of the stages of the funnel. We tell them what content we're working on, and then we go back and forth with it. So I like to stay. I would say that why my AI is so well trained, I don't even know if this is true or not, is I stay on the content focus that I'm on in that project so that it's getting smart about that one type of content that we're working on. And then when I'm ready to move on to another one, like I have a health one.
Right.
My ChatGPT helps me like analyze my labs. I mean, I could go on and on. We use it for everything. So, but yes, I have really good prompts. And we also have like an ideal client, document that we upload to it once in a while. When I feel like it's losing its memory, I'll be like, remember who my ideal client is. It gets better. But yeah, we're pretty, I feel like we're getting pretty good at it. I haven't taught a class on it yet, but definitely getting pretty good at it.
Do you have a good way of organizing all your stuff? Like, do you copy and paste into other documents? This has been like the one hurdle I can't get over. And while there are some folder options that you can use to organize, it still feels kind of clunky. Do you have any good organization tips for?
No, other than
it?
that I keep the projects separate. That's how I keep it organized. So I try not to talk about, mastermind coaching stuff in like my photography business part, because those are two different ideal clients, two different messages that we're trying to convey. So that would be the only way that I know how to organize it. No, I don't. And I'm assuming that's going to get better, though. That's the thing. It just keeps getting better.
Use Imagine, and I know you're an ambassador for them. I use Fido, which is similar product. You shoot more volume than I do, but I found that the combination of some of these tools is saving me, like using Fido for color correction and then Evoto for, skin work or clothes smoothing or backdrop fixes or whatnot.
Right.
I love knowing how to do all this retouching, but man, if it saves me 2 hours on the back end for every photo, why not? Why not use it all the time?
Well, you just said it perfectly. I always tell students or new photographers, even when I was just outsourcing and I wasn't using AI, I say you cannot skip learning how to edit. Like you have to know how to edit. And I've edited all my own work for a decade. But when you get to where you're an experienced photographer who's getting it right in camera, by the way, like AI is not going to, where somebody who's not very skilled, AI can't fix a bad photo. Like you do have to learn, you can't skip learning how to be a photographer and learning how to edit. Those two things are very important. But once you become a skilled photographer, this is like a no-brainer tool.
Yeah.
Because it makes things so fast. I actually do believe, and I think that this probably makes people angry when I say it, but I think that because of the time-saving factor of AI in general, if you don't adopt it, you might become irrelevant. I know I'm not supposed to say that, but I think it's probably true because clients are going to expect a faster turnaround. It's not going to be customary for a wedding to take 3 months anymore. That's just not going to be the case.
I used to hand retouch everything, and it would take me a week or two, depending on how many shoots are lined up, right? But I try to keep things relatively short. I'm turning things around now in 24 to 48 hours. And even though printed products are going to take 3-4 weeks sometimes, because that's the nature of manufacturing, they have their digitals and well-edited digitals within a day or two.
Our school photography, that's been a game changer for us because that's like we do school photo and it's large volume. It used to take a couple of weeks, and which is still pretty darn fast. So we're turning them around in like 4 or 5 days, and our sales have increased. And I think it's because it's still front of mind for that parent. Like if their kid had photos on Monday, school photos, and they're already getting their gallery on Friday, they're still thinking about it, and so they just buy it. Where if it had been a couple of weeks and a busy mom, dad, they forgot already. So it's been huge.
I don't know Imagine well enough to answer this for anybody. I'm sure you can. Does Imagine learn your style over time? Does it adapt to how you're doing your color grading and whatnot? I asked that ignorantly.
Yeah. So you create your own profile. And you do that by uploading iCatalogs, and they want like 3,000, I think it is, 3,000 images to start. Yeah. And then as you get, galleries back and you do your own tweaks, you re-upload the edits or your adjustments so that it learns and learns and learns. And it's getting to the point now, especially for school photography, like that's a light, it's a background. It's like so, standard and simple that we're running it through and just making like some crop edits to like fix the background or whatever, but not having to do anything else. And it's just getting so smart. So without my outdoor work, even that's getting, it's shocking. If anyone knows my work, I am a very weird photographer. I like to like blow people's heads out, and I love sun flares and weird stuff. And at first I think that's really one of the reasons I was a little bit nervous about using AI, because I was like, is it going to understand my not so conventional use of light? I mean, it's learned it. It's really learned it. So it's pretty amazing.
One of the things that I've always seen in your work is family dynamic. And you strike this gorgeous balance between being present in the moment, maintaining that level of intimacy that happens in a family, but you're also getting the expression towards the camera. You're getting them to interact with you and connect so that it feels a bit voyeuristic. You're watching this family interact, and you get the dynamics of how much they love each other, or which kid has what personality. There's this dynamic that you capture. Is it just human connection? Is it the work that you do prior to the session? How do you do what you do?
Oh, it's a good question. I do actually teach about this, and I am actually able to help people with this aspect. And yes, so you answered a little bit of it. A big part of photographing families who are, when you look at my portfolio, if anyone has ever seen, like I said, if you ever stumbled upon my work, the people are very lovey-dovey, connected. Even with teenagers, they're like hugging and kissing their kids and loving them. And that's what my portfolio looks like consistently. So I attract families who love each other. I mean, that sounds like a weird thing to say, but like, I do. Like people are like, how do you deal with an awkward teenager? I'm like, well, my teenagers aren't. Like, I can't get enough of them. Like, my kids aren't like that. And so that's the vibe I put out there. And so I attract it. So it's a big part of why that happens. I work with people who love each other. But the next piece is that I actually am a big poser. You can't tell that, but I tell my families exactly how I want them to sit, exactly what I want them to do. And then it's like being a director. They're going to bring their own magic and personality and connection to the vibe, and then that's going to be what makes magic. But you do have to be a skilled poser, and I think that lifestyle photography looks unposed, but the truth is that we're actually like put your finger there and turn that way, and we're being pretty controlling actually about it. But the next piece I would say is that the reason I am like close proximity of body, having people touching. I don't like light showing between my families. That is a huge connection point too. And then the next piece I would say is I use really short lenses. I am in there. I use a 50 primarily, and then I do have an 85 that I actually feel like I'm using that less and less. But I have a 35 on one camera and a 50 on the other. And I am like in there with them. And I'm not afraid to be in there with them, to just really be allowing myself to fall in love with them. And I think that shows. You got to feel something. If you want photos for people to feel things when they look at your photos, you have to feel something when you make them.
Right. When is the first time that you remember taking a photo where you're just like, holy shit?
I actually can answer that with a lot of clarity. When I started taking pictures, when my son will be 18 in August, I have the photo framed upstairs in my bedroom. I was taking photos of him with a point and shoot camera. He was so cute. He was a really intense baby though. He didn't cry a lot. He wasn't fussy. He wasn't colicky, but he needed a lot from me. And I had to hold him all the time, and he had to sleep with me all the time. And I was a young mom and home alone with him, and I started taking pictures of him. And it was with this point and shoot camera. I have this photo. I could turned it to black and white, probably like on my computer. I don't even know how I did it. And if the lighting is like super moody, it's exactly how I would light somebody now. I knew nothing about it though. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but I took this photo of him, and he had these intense blue eyes, and I shared a photo of him this week in my feed. I rarely do anymore because he's becoming a man and he doesn't want me to, but he had this intensity. And I learned very quickly that I could not only just translate like how beautiful he was to the world, I could actually translate who he was with my camera to the world. And he's still like one of my favorite people to photograph. And I was hooked. I was addicted to that. I wanted that like, more and more and more. And that's what I do with people of all kinds, with families or anyone. I'm not trying to take like a surface photo. I don't want anyone to see anything when they look at my work. I want them to feel something. Yeah, that's who I owe it to him though. That was where it started.
If you could describe motherhood without depicting people, how would you show that in a picture?
Oh gosh, that's a great question. So I would say motherhood to me is a cozy cabin isolated in the woods, because I do not pretend that childhood or motherhood, any of it, is all wine and roses. I think that's why I actually share photos of kids that are really intense, because I think that it's an intense experience.
Yeah.
But I feel like, as a mother is home to these people that she created. She's that cozy cabin, but she's isolated in the woods. She is isolated in the woods and afraid and wondering if anyone's going to come help her and wondering if she can do it on her own. And I think that that intensity that is motherhood is something that I really like to capture, especially with my newborn work. I like to capture like the mutual attachment that I experienced. I mean, when I had babies, I was like, oh my God, I'm never going to even be able to like leave the couch, because how am I going to put this baby down ever? It's like this crazy intense attachment. So I like to portray that. But yeah, it's intense. So, and I think you see that in my work. There's a lot of intensity to the way that I photograph mothers and the babies.
All right. Let's talk a little bit more about business.
Okay.
You said something in your presentation at WPPI. I was in the back and I was kind of laughing because the engagement rate that people think you're going to get versus what is clinically good at 1 or 3%, maybe 5%, blows people's minds. And I could almost hear this audible gasp in the room when you said, that an open rate or a response rate is really only going to be between 1 and 5%. And if you're doing that, you're kind of crushing it. That's
for social media. Yeah. So that's, I love metrics. I think that there's so many things. I don't ever want to overwhelm a new photographer if they're listening to this and they're like, oh God, now she's telling me I got an email list and I have to pay attention to metrics. But the truth is, these are actually pretty simple things. Most people are obsessed with social media.
Yeah.
And it's because we're all addicted to it. I'm addicted to it. We're all addicted to it. Let's just be real. Mm-hmm. And good engagement on social media, if you're getting 1 to 3%, not 5, if you're getting 1 to 3% of your followers engaging, meaning liking or commenting, you're killing it. And that's all you, unless you're paying for ads, which I do not recommend unless you have a very high level training, you're lighting money on fire. So that's great. Now on email, a great open rate is about 20 to 30%. And you're killing it with that. If you get that point, which is, by the way, already like, why are we not focusing on email? Like 20 to 30% as opposed to 1 to 3. But then SEO, search engine optimization, if you can rank on page 1 or 2, the likelihood of the person who Googled for what it is that you're ranking for, of actually clicking on your website is like 30 to 40%.
Yeah.
Maybe even a little bit higher. I'm saying these off the top of my head. So it's like a no-brainer for me. It's a no-brainer. Do we have to use social media a little bit these days? Of course. And I use it a lot more for my education business, but it's so unreliable. But that's what everyone wants to know. How do I make a viral reel? Tell me how I get the next 10,000 followers. I'm like, you don't need 10,000 followers. You need $10,000 a month. Like, it's literally not going to work. It's not going to make your business. But I can't make people not want to do what's cool. I just think about what's profitable.
It's really funny. Whenever I look at a big YouTuber or social media influencer, photographers that I know, they might have 100,000 followers. And then you look at their posts, and according to those engagement metrics, right, if they're doing between 1 and 3%, let's say on social media, there should be about 3,000 people at least interacting with that post, right? Now, I don't see their insights, but you look and you're like, well, only 100 people liked this out of 100,000 followers. Smells a little bit fishy to me.
They probably bought their followers, is what that means.
Bingo.
By the way, everybody here, that's a normal thing. People do that. It's not worth it, though. It'll actually bring your engagement down.
100%. It's been really interesting as I've grown the podcast and I send out media kits and have my actual analytics and metrics in that so people understand what they're getting. There's a little bit of humility in it because I'm not Joe Rogan, but at the same time, these people are rabidly engaged with the content that I'm putting out. And I would rather have that than vanity numbers like you were talking about.
Podcasting is like extremely effective right now.
It's a totally different way to market. And I think podcasting really gives an insight to whatever it is you do, whether it's photography or sculpture or auto, repair, it doesn't matter. As long as people get an insight to who you are and what you're doing, again, it comes back to that human connection. They're connected to your brand a little bit more. And it's that authenticity, it's that connection every single time.
I would also consider a podcast content that you own and content that you control. And I think that's one thing that people don't realize. Well, if the TikTok ban didn't teach anyone a thing or two, I don't know what will. Your content was literally just gone, right? And that could happen. And I know people who have lost Instagram accounts and Facebook accounts or whatever, and they don't have customer service. There's no one there to help you. If it's gone, it's gone. You don't own that content. And so focusing only on that is just like, I'll say this time blue in the face. It's such a waste of time, especially for your photography business. Like a full-time photographer needs 50 to 200 human beings to connect with in 1 year, which 200 would be insane, by the way. My biggest year was 180, and it was dumb. I worked way too much. A full-time photographer, weddings, that could be 15 brides that you need. Why are we obsessed with these vanity metrics? And it's because you're addicted to it. Yeah. You got to call yourself out there. You're addicted to it. So you can focus on that if you want, but it's not a great long-term strategy.
Outside of your mastermind, outside of Instagram and measuring your own analytics and programming ChatGPT and doing your education site and doing your family photography and all the other things, what are you doing for fun? Like, how do you, what's your ritual to kind of extract yourself from all of that? Do you have a ritual, like a daily ritual every morning to get you into the mindset?
You know what is the truth? And when I say this, I was talking about this in my mastermind today too. When somebody who's been in business for 15 years tells you that they don't work around the clock, we're saying that from a place of experience. There was an earlier time in my life where I was raising babies and businesses and all that, and I was working a lot more, but I have really boundaried work hours. I don't start until about 10 a.m. I get everyone off to school. I'm like done at 3 at the most, at the latest. What I do for fun and what I do, in my free time is all around the people in my life. I'm extremely close to my children. I'm extremely close to my partner. I'm extremely close to my family. We have a very tight-knit group of friends. So we're pretty social. I mean, my sister and I have 7 kids together. So there's just like lots of family stuff happening all the time. And then we live on an island, and we go for a walk almost every day in the forest, which is so lucky. Even when it's raining, it rains here all the time in the winter. What they say is true. Yeah, so it's really around like home cooked meals with my family. It's kind of boring. I'm getting to that age, but we're also, like I said, we have a really close knit friend group as well. So Seattle's a fun place. So we're out, to dinner and doing that kind of thing. But that's really how we spend our free time. Both of us, my husband and I, both work in creative fields, and we love our jobs, but we definitely have boundaries for when we're working.
I never see it as boring. I see it as balance. I see it as you've worked hard and earned your balance, because there's always a grind at the beginning. But balance is something I think you definitely learn with experience of where it fits into your life.
It comes with experience too. I mean, I think, there are super entrepreneurs out there. There's so much advice, so many, and they're like, oh, I work from a place of rest and don't subscribe to hustle culture and whatever. And I'm like, she's saying that because she hustled for 5 or 10 years and now has a team behind her. Let's be realistic. There is a stage of your journey when you're growing a business that, where you are going to have to work hard. You are. That's how you get the experience necessary to get to that place of privilege where then you can implement the more balanced schedule. I don't know if I believe in balance. I call it harmony. When you like all of the parts of your life, then it doesn't feel like you're taking from another part when you're immersed in that part that you have to be immersed in. And there's definitely seasons of my year that are much busier. Like I would call this time of the year conference season. My kids are totally used to it. Like they just know, like, mom travels a lot during conference season, and they know that when summer comes, like this is the beauty of a designer life. When you have your own business, you get to make these rules. I don't do any shoots. I don't have a mastermind running in the whole month of July. I take the whole month of July off because everybody's home and we're chilling. Like we're just like, I'm barely working. I'm barely checking in on email or anything. Like it's really amazing. And I take all of December off too. September, October, November are crazy for me. Yeah. I'm a family photographer. I don't care what anyone tells you. Family photography will always be busier in the fall. But those are like my kids are, I guess, and my point is that they're used to that rhythm of my business, and I'm okay with it. Like I'm okay with being busier at different times of the year and kind of just leaning into that harmony a little bit. So
Man, you just came up with the title for this episode, The Beauty of a Designer Life. I've never heard the term designer life, and it's so spot on as the thing that we all work towards when we go into business for ourselves.
oh yeah, it's such a gift. And I have I know people that are very successful that do not have as a designer life, and that's one of the beautiful things about working for yourself is you make the rules, you decide where you're gonna spend your time, where you're gonna spend your money, where you're gonna grow your wealth, where you're gonna do all of those things. And that is just a lovely thing when you can figure that out. I think that's why I like helping people make this work, because I know that when you get control of those things, it's like it's the best.
I think this is what draws a lot of people to your mastermind. And it's something that I didn't realize you did until probably about a year and a half ago. You've done just such a really good job of making photography education and business education very approachable. That being said, if your mastermind was a reality show, what would it be called? And what would the first competition be?
Oh my God, no one has ever asked me that. That is so funny. Okay, let me think. If it was a reality show, it would be a little bit like real world. We'd all live together. So it would be like, I mean, this has probably already been a reality show, but it would be make or break. And you would be all live together and you would grow that community together and build each other up and share each other's secrets and probably get a little bit of like gossip going on that you would, in that short amount of time that you were living together, you would make it work, because that is the cornerstone of my mastermind. It's like we're a community and we hold each other up and hold each other accountable, and big change happens when that's the environment that you're in.
I agree. That's a great answer. I love that. Whenever whenever I've been in education, right? I taught high school, then I've also done like this type of education for years. Inevitably, I learned something from a student unexpectedly.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
What's one of the things that you've learned from any student over the years that you're like, oh shit, that's a great point. I didn't think about that.
Like I said, I always tell them, I am not here to make you like me. I want you to be the best version of yourself. And you can tell me I'm wrong. Like when I'm reviewing their stuff, like if I say, I think you should do it this way and you want to do it another way, prove me wrong. That I will be so proud. One girl proved me way wrong. I personally don't believe, I don't like doing mini sessions. I don't think that they're worth my time. I think they're, stressful or whatever. She's like, nope, I'm going to grow my entire business on mini sessions because I know my demographic. Like the part of the country that she lives in, it really commands a lower price, high volume type of business. Girlfriend's making like $250 a year with a mini session business. And I'm like, hell yeah. Like so proud of her. Using a lot of the like marketing strategies that I taught her. But so that's one that's like a tactical, that practical thing. Amazing. I love it. I love that for her. And she's doing it efficiently, like obviously very profitably. Like she's just a badass. So that's one. One today, I actually had a little break, a moment today that was so cool. We were talking about mindset stuff and we were talking about self-sabotage and how if you look at your business, if you're listening right now, actually, and this is you, look at where you're self-sabotaging. If your work is up to snuff, like if you can truly take a look at your work and be like, yes, I have a very professional and consistent portfolio, and you're doing everything right. You're marketing your business with all of the, ways that people are teaching you. Search engine optimization, email. You're literally implementing all these things. And it's not working. Ask yourself why you're self-sabotaging. Like, or are you? And this girl today said, I made her cry. So if she's listening, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe she's talking about me. I made her cry in a good way. I said, maybe you just want to be a mom. And that's okay. She has little kids at home. And she's like, oh my gosh, I might be self-sabotaging because maybe I don't even really want to do this. And I said, you know what? If you leave this program and that was the realization you had, I will feel as proud. And then I would feel as proud as if I took you to $200,000 this year, because that is, like we were talking about, that's a designer life. Like you need to be able to be so aligned. And a lot of us think, well, in order to be worthy, this needs to be a business or whatever. And she's extremely talented, this person that I'm talking about. Like reviewed her work. I mean, she's so talented. So there is a mindset thing going on with her. She's doing everything right. And it was like, it dawned on her. And I felt like that was something. What did I learn from that? I learned that maybe I'm not always going to teach you to go to the next level of financial security. Maybe you're going to learn that you don't even want this to be a business. And that was like just really eye-opening for me as an educator. I was like, wow, she had such a breakthrough that it wasn't even the kind of breakthrough I wanted her to have, like it was really cool.
It's really important that people know that. A lot of folks start businesses and think that, well, now I'm on this path, I can't get off this train. I have to, ride it into the sunset no matter what. And we forget that we're in control of our own lives.
I definitely don't run my business like the norm for, I would say. And I mean, people at conferences are always like, oh, you're leaving money on the table because you're not doing in-person sales, whatever. I can go on and on. And I'm like, well, show me your bank account, because I'm pretty sure we're doing pretty good over here. Like this business has been making over 6 figures for 12 years. So I think we're doing okay. But that's, I actually don't, whatever, however you want to do it is fine. But when somebody tells you that it's the only way, it's just so not true.
Yeah.
It's so not true. And the pricing thing is all about us, not our clients. Like, your clients are not paying attention to your price increases. We think they are. They're not. But that's a common limiting factor for a lot of people.
It's really funny how much we project of our own insecurities onto our clients. It takes a lot of, I don't want to say deprogramming, but maybe internal reflection, a little bit of self-awareness to really look at. Yeah. And I think once you start looking at that, right, meditating, being quiet, really just reflecting on how you're doing business, the types of clients you have. One of the big indicators for me is when people are like, oh my God, I have all these nightmare clients. Well, something's going on there, because I'd say in the 13 years that I've been a photographer, I think I've had 2 clients that just blindsided me with, oh, they've got a touch of the crazy, right? And never saw it coming. But other than that, I love every single one of the clients that walks through my door, because I've taken the time to educate them and see if I'm the right fit, and vice versa.
Oh yeah, I could go on and on about that. I think that's same. There's a few, right? There's a few that slip through the cracks. How did that happen?
Yeah.
And I always think of it like, a handful. In 15 years, a handful. I always think of it as like, well, that's some information. I definitely must not have asked the right questions or whatever, but you're absolutely right. When somebody is on like a forum or a Facebook group or something complaining about clients time after time, I'm like, bro, you are the common denominator here. Like, something is happening that you are confusing your potential clients, or you're not educating them on the process, or we could go on and on about that. But 100%, it's so important.
Let's start landing this plane a little bit. The family business is going well. The photography business is going really well. I see how passionate you get about teaching others, right? I've seen it firsthand. I hear it here. I've heard it for years. I see how much satisfaction you get from helping people grow their businesses. How can people learn more about the mastermind, or what should they expect in your mastermind?
I always say this, a business model for me is community over competition. I don't believe that there is any reason to hide any part of what I do with my students. I share every part. So you can expect that. You can expect the complete and total like community over competition aspect. What I teach in the mastermind is a very foundational approach to business so that you can apply it to your own lifestyle and life and goals, just like what we've been talking about throughout this. Will I give you every strategy that I use and every template and all of that? Yes. But it is live. We meet weekly live. And that part allows you to take what I'm teaching you and apply it to your life and goals. So it is a fully comprehensive program where we lay the foundations for a solid brand, teach you how to create a website that will convert at a very high level. We talk about pricing for profitability. And then, of course, all of the marketing. We talk about all the marketing modalities that are available to you, but I definitely focus a lot on search engine optimization and email. And then we do a lot of mindset work. I'm actually a certified life coach. I never talk about that, but we do a lot of mindset work because we all have an abundance capacity. You have an amount that you believe you're worthy of, and you won't ever go past it if you don't start working on your money blocks. We all have confidence issues that we have to work through, especially as a online marketer or as a marketer in general. Like you gotta get past that stuff. You have to feel worthy. So we talk a lot about that. So it's a pretty all-inclusive program. But I think the most beautiful part of it, and I'm so proud of this part, is the community aspect. It's every group is just 30 people or 30 to 35. Everyone has an accountability pod, accountability partners. They bring in mentors. And again, we meet once a week, and it's amazing how close these people get via Zoom. I mean, they're taking like family vacations together afterward. They're doing amazing business community collaborations. And we have an annual event, and people come from all different cohorts, and everyone just gets along. And I think that the community aspect is why it's so successful, because we really do operate sort of on our own as photographers. And when you have a tribe behind you of people that aren't worried about competition, people who are there to lift each other up, beautiful things happen.
You're basically giving people an MBA in the photography business. But I've seen the same thing in business schools with these cohorts that stay in touch, because you're in the trenches together. You're building that tribe. You're building that sense of brotherhood or sisterhood in these groups, because you're going through all the same stuff together. From what I understand, you've fostered this community that really thrives on that, as opposed to 10 or 30 people coming together and they're with you for a weekend and then they take off. This is long term. What is it? 3 months, 6 months at a time?
5
long? 5 months.
5 months. Yeah, it's 5 months long, and then we do get together once a year. There's a few aspects, if this were free, it wouldn't be as effective. I mean,
Right.
Obviously I'm running a business too, but when you invest in yourself, you're going to show up. I have been in 2 masterminds as a student before, and those were like 2 of the most transformative years of my career. And you're like, wow, I just paid this amount of money. And you're really, I mean, sure, are they investing in me and my knowledge? Of course. But what you're really investing in is yourself. And when you make that investment in yourself, it's back to like that. I think we've talked about this earlier. You're like, this is going to work. I am going to make this work. I just told myself with my checkbook, I don't know what's using checkbooks anymore, with my credit card or with my bank account, I'm going to make this work. And then you're in a group, in a room every week, being held accountable with people who are making it work. And I think that's a big part of it. I think the structure is a big part of the success too. Like there are a lot of things that need to be put into motion for a photography business to be successful. Having it be like, okay, this is what we're doing. This week, this is what we're doing. It gives people, a lot of us are more, creative brain. We don't think that way. So it gives people structure. And I think that really helps too.
From the standpoint of mindset, is there any homework that people need to do before they join?
Nothing needs to be done before. No, it's all done during. We start every meeting, even when we're going to talk about something really nerdy like SEO, which is SEO is just like science. By the way, guys, like if you're gonna invest in it, like it just works. And most people, you only need to do a few of the things. Like there's like a billion different ways you can get your SEO up, and if you work on a couple of the things, it'll work. Like it just will. Even when we're going to talk about something super nerdy like that, we start almost every meeting with a little bit of mindset work, whether that just be like learning to drop in or visualize. I'm a big fan of visualization. I'm a big fan of self-awareness and changing your neuroplasticity. So the pathways in your brain that if you haven't heard that word, there's lots of stuff going on that you have no control over inside of your brain. You're literally just looping these patterns that don't have anything to do with your real life anymore. So learning how to be aware of those things and change them. And we do a lot of that because you need to be confident. I want people to feel worthy and confident and worthy of the abundance that they're calling in. We are afraid to talk about money when we need money to eat and put clothes on our body and live in the home that we live in. You literally can't survive without money. So why are we afraid to talk about it? So we do a lot of money mindset work too, so that you can kind of get rid of those fears, limiting beliefs, all of that. But we work on all of that together. So there's nothing that needs to be done before. It all happens during. And people will always, I think those are the transformations. If you asked anyone that's gone through my program, I mean, we do take people to 6 figures quickly if that's their goal, or to making to quitting their day jobs. And I've had like pharmacists and physician's assistants and big jobs be able to quit their jobs. Accountants like go full time with photography, which is really cool. But everyone will always say that the mindset part is like they didn't expect that to be where the transformation happened. But you feel better about yourself. You look better. You're taking care of yourself. Finally, you're putting yourself first, which is so important.
Well, I've never seen you either socially or professionally where you're not confident, where you're not lifting up the people around you, where you're not introducing people and saying, this is the most amazing person, part of my team, or I met this person and they are incredible at what they do. Your capacity to make someone feel at ease and welcome and wanted and seen is a skill. And for you, I don't think you had to work that hard at it. It just seems to be part of you. So I can't imagine that your mastermind is anything but that, of that feeling of we can be better than we are right now. And it's really not that difficult. Just takes a little bit of work, maybe a little bit of adjustment, but anything that we want is within our grasp. And yes. I've just seen you do that with people over and over and over. And I think that's just says something about your success. People resonate with that and gravitate towards you. And you're a pretty amazing person. I've seen you for years now, and I'm never not impressed. Never not.
We always stay up a little too late at the parties, that's for sure. I was tired after the last one, but it's always worth it.
Always worth it. Well, listen.
I would say about you, you're fun to be around, so.
Thank you. Where can people find everything that you're doing? Easiest place to get in touch with you. How do they do?
Of course, I would say straight away, Instagram is so easy, right? So yep. Elena S, there's an S in there. Elena S Blair _photography. I answer every DM, so send me a message after you listen. But you could go to ElenaSBlair.com as well, and that's where you can find out about my mastermind. We have tons of free resources there, paid classes too. The blog is a wealth of knowledge, and the podcast we made public, so you can listen to the podcast too, which is called Empowered. So
love it.
We're on everywhere. We're all over, just like you.
I'm so happy here. I've been trying to do this with you for a year, and scheduling is what it is. And I couldn't be happier that the universe made us do this today. So I'm really thankful, really grateful. Thank you so much. Go enjoy your day, and I'll be in touch with you soon. All right?
All right. Take care.
All right. I'll see you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.